Hi, everyone. Welcome to my live stream, the Goldie Show. Um, I wasn't planning on going live just yet and starting it, but I still have some things that I'm working on behind the scenes to make it look more professional and all that. But I woke up this morning and I heard the news about the Islamic terrorist attack that happened in Manchester, UK, against the Jewish community on Yom Kippur, which is, the holiest day in the Jewish calendar in Judaism. And actually, I had the honor of being in Israel last year during Yom Kippur, and it's just such a, important and special time. And waking up to this horrific news of this terrorist attack. I mean, to everyone who has been enabling this Islamofascist ideology, to everyone who has been enabling um, this fake Palestinian cause, who's been enabling jihad under the guise of multiculturalism and diversity, what did you think was going to happen? I mean, when you allow people or you tolerate people who go out in the streets and they literally dress up like terrorists and they start yelling, globalize the intifada. What do you think that means? Did you think that globalize the intifada means that, I don't know, they're going to come out with chocolate and candy and be like, oh, here's a pamphlet about our cause. Please listen to us. I mean, what exactly did you think was going to happen? They are telling you exactly what globalize the intifada means. And anyone who speaks out against it, anyone who tries to raise awareness about how radical and dangerous these people are, those same Islamists, they try to shut you down by accusing you of Islamophobia, which is literally the fakest word in like the history of human civilization. There is literally no such thing as Islamophobia. I'm telling you that right now. There's people who are aware of the dangers of, a radical cult-like ideology. And the challenge, the challenge here is that they they know exactly what they're doing, and they're using language to try and silence those who want to speak out against this. And Dr. Hypnos, I see your comment there, and I agree with you 100%. I think they know what it meant, and they meant for this to happen. Absolutely 100%. They know exactly what intifada means, especially when it comes to the fake Palestinian cause. I actually shared a video about intifada when it comes to the Palestinians. Let me find it. Like, the Palestinians literally have this jihadi terrorist boy band that makes music videos about the intifada and blowing things up. Here, I'm gonna find it. And I'm going to play it for you. I mean, it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. Um, Let me find it here, and you'll have to give me a little bit of grace here because I'm still kind of new to all of this live streaming. So, um, you know, um, it might take me a little bit of time for me to kind of get it right. Uh, where's the video here? Media. Let me see if I can find it. Here we go. Wait, I think I found it. Where is it? No. I posted it a while ago. It was like this. Um, where is it? Okay. Is it this one? Let me see if I found it here. Oh yeah, okay. So I found it. Here's literally what Intifada means to the Palestinians. So let me figure this out. I think I have to change my screen here. So if I go like that, there we go. Okay. So let me know if you can hear. I think you guys might be able to hear the audio, but let's see. Let's see. So for the people who are just tuning in, I'm just playing this jihadi music video from a Palestinian boy band that came out, I think it was about 10 years ago in 2016. It's about the Intifada. So I'm going to continue playing this while, if you can like the stream, share it, make sure that you get involved in the conversation on YouTube as well. So we're going to finish watching this jihadi terrorist music video by the Palestinians, and then we'll come back and we'll talk more about Intifada and what happened, because like this has literally been in your faces the entire time, and no one is really paying attention. So let's go back and watch this Palestinian music video. But now they like, blew it up. So, um, jeez, I don't even know what to say. Um, this is that's that's intifada. That this is when the Palestinians are out in the streets and they're yelling intifada. And then you have, the ignorant, I call them the woke watermelon people, right? People who don't know the difference between Hamas and hummus, and they go out in the streets and they wear like the terrorist keffiyeh rags, and they yell globalize the intifada. That's what they're talking about. And this isn't new. This is literally from 2016. These are the people that are out there in the streets right now, normalizing anti Semitism, normalizing Jew hatred, normalizing terrorist ideology, normalizing that Islamofascist belief. And then they expect the rest of us to like speak out about this, right? Or they expect the rest of us to be quiet about this. And those of us who do speak out were accused of Islamophobia. I'm sorry, how exactly is it Islamophobic for me to point out that maybe your terrorist society should not be making music videos about, blowing up Jews on a bus? Right? Like maybe the problem isn't us. Maybe the problem is you and your jihadi ideology. Maybe the problem is those ignorant Western politicians who are too scared to speak up about it. Or if they're not scared, they're bought out and they're paid for. And I actually have the receipts to prove how several politicians, especially in Canada, are on the payroll of these jihadi Islamofascist terrorists. I know that because I used to be a politician. Believe me, the things that I have seen, the things that I have experienced behind the scenes, you have no idea how deep the rot goes, not just in other countries, but especially in Canada. Um, and I will speak about that more later on. The thing is, these organizations in Canada are very, very litigation happy. So they will try to go after anyone who speaks out about this. And they actually already went after me and accused me of Islamophobia just for the crime of speaking out against the terrorist Islamic Republic because I'm Iranian. I was born in Iran, of course, escaped that Islamofascist ideology, came to Canada. And never in my life, never ever in my life did I ever think that, coming to Canada, because we came here in 1986. My parents, I was a year old, so do the math. I'm 40 right now, but my parents came here in 1986. Never in my life did we ever think that we would now be dealing with the same ideology, the same radicalism, the same Islamofascism in Canada that we escaped from in Iran. And it's not just me. There's many, many people from the Middle East who have escaped their countries because their countries have been taken over by these Islamic radicals. And come to countries like Canada and United States and UK and elsewhere, and we come here because we want to get away from that, right? Like we don't want it. We don't want um, your culture. We don't want your religion. Like keep it at home. Keep it in your house. Keep it indoors. But there's a reason that many of us have immigrated and come to Judeo-Christian countries because we want to be part of a civilization and a society that does not constantly go out there and scream death to infidels and wants to wage a constant jihad and war against the state of Israel. We just don't want that. We do not want it. We don't agree with it. We don't accept it. We don't want to be part of your jihad. We don't want to be part of your intifada. We just want to live our normal lives. And now you are not allowing that. You are not allowing that. But it's not just them, it's the ignorant politicians, it's the ignorant leftists, it's this woke ideology. And for some reason, these radical Islamists have been able to infiltrate into the left. Okay, they've infiltrated into the left, and they are making themselves. The biggest con is that they have been able to convince politicians and convince the left that they are the oppressed people. They're literally the colonizers in the Middle East. Okay, so you want to talk about colonization? The biggest colonizers in the world, it's the Islamists. They've been colonizing. I mean, look at what happened to Egypt. Look at what happened to Lebanon. Look at what happened to Syria. Look at what happened to Iraq. Look at what happened to my country of Iran. So the colonization is not what you think it is, right? But yet those oppressors come here, and because of the powerful lobby groups they have, because of the funding that they have, they are able to convince ignorant white people, I'm just going to put it out there, ignorant white people, and play upon that whole notion of white guilt and white privilege, which, by the way, is bullshit. So I shouldn't say that. It's BS. It's nonsense, right? But they still play on this whole notion of white privilege, white guilt, to say, oh, look at me, like I'm brown, I'm the victim, you're the oppressor, or whatever, right? They come in and they sort of merge themselves with those groups, and they pretend to be the oppressed, whereas they really are the oppressor. And on top of that, what they've also done is they have now, because they've said, oh, we're brown, we're the minority, we're the oppressed. What they've done is they've reversed that, and they've also said, okay, and by contrast, Israel, because they're white, um, they're the colonizer, they're the oppressors, whatever, even though like Israelis aren't white. Sure, there's like, a portion of them that are white, but Israelis are some of the most ethnically, genetically diverse people, similar to Iranians. Like from, when it comes to Iranians, we have Iranians who are, whiter than white, blonde hair, blue eyes, and then we have Afro-Iranians as well, right? So there's a whole broad range of different, types of Iranians. It's the same thing with the Jewish people. You can find Jewish people of different ethnicities, but their Jewishness, their Jewish identity is what ties them all in together. And I've seen it myself. I've been in Israel, and I can tell you that the white population in Israel is very, very minimal. Most people in Israel kind of look, same coloring and stuff as me. Like when I was in Israel, people would just speak Hebrew to me, right? Because they just assumed I was Jewish because I just, I fit right in. So you can't actually tell the difference. But what these Islamists have done is they have promoted this narrative, and now it's come to the point where you have all these like ignorant Western lefty politicians and people who are out there supporting them, A, for the money, B, for the votes, right? And C, because they're so afraid of the term Islamophobia, right? It's become this big sort of skeleton in the closet or whatever. Like you don't, oh my gosh, if you're called that, it's the end of the world. Um, that they tolerate it. They tolerate it. And then when these Islamists come out and they say something like, well, globalize the intifada, it doesn't actually mean what you think it means. When we say globalize the intifada, we don't actually mean blowing up the Jews. It's just it's our struggle, right? But then you go back to this music video, right? This music video that I played, like, look at this. Like, here, let me just play this little piece again about this their intifada. Like, they literally have a jihadi boy band song about blowing up Prime Minister Netanyahu. I mean, like, how sick and demonic is this? Look, and the losses should be too many for him to count. So now they're basically promoting murdering Jewish people. They want so many Jewish people to be murdered that it's like too many to count, right? I mean, how is this any different than October 7th, right? Like October 7th, and we're coming up to the 2-year anniversary of that now. That was, one of the most, it was the biggest genocide of Jewish people since the Holocaust, right? And we've seen what's come out of that. October 7th was this coordinated jihadi terrorist attack, funded by the Islamic Republic, occupying Iran, which is my birth country, organized by all these various places as well. And as soon as that terrorist attack happened, it almost seems like things were already in place, because that terrorist attack happens And then all of a sudden the pro-Pali movement comes out, right? Without even like, before um, Israeli people and Jewish people even had time to process what had happened, these Islamic terrorists were out in the streets, waving the Palestinian flag, you know, glory to the martyrs, globalize the Intifada, right? Like, this is before. I mean, like, this is here. Like, look at this. You want to talk about a radicalized terrorist society? Look at this. I mean, this is like, they have been gaslighting. They have been gaslighting the West, and no one is speaking out. And what happened today in the UK is a horrific result of that terrorist attack, right? I mean, this is not a one-off. What you saw in the UK, what you saw in Manchester today, that's not a bug. That's literally a feature. That is a feature of Islamic terrorism, right? I mean, this is what they preach. This is not a new music video. This is something from 2016, 2015, 2016. For those of you who are watching, you do not get to wear a keffiyeh. You do not get to chant in the streets and yell, globalize the Intifada. And now today come out and say, oh, my thoughts and prayers are with the Jewish community. No, you are part of the problem. Your hands are covered in blood. You're part of the problem. You have aided, you have enabled, you have supported terrorism. Right? I mean, you have been the biggest useful, and I'm speaking to those people who are not from the Middle East, but who have joined the fake Palestinian cause. You are some of the biggest useful idiots in the world. Your hands are covered in blood because you have enabled this. Simple as that. When you do not think critically, and when you allow people to manipulate you and manipulate your ideas and manipulate your mind, you become a useful idiot. And there is a big problem with Islamic terrorism and Islamofascism in the West. We have to call it out for what it is. I have been invited to several synagogues in the past. I've spoken. And, you know, I've also been to Jewish community centers, you know, Jewish, you know, other places as well, you know, that cater to the Jewish community. And the one thing that I've noticed is that there's always security at these places. Not police presence, security. They have to hire private security to keep them safe. You know where you don't see security guards? You don't see security guards in mosques. You don't see security guards in churches. You don't see security guards in, you know, Muslim schools or Christian schools or anything like that. But you see them in synagogues, and you see them in you know, Jewish community centers. And there's a very good reason for that. It's very unfortunate. It's a sad reason, but there's a good reason because it's needed. It's needed. We have seen the rise in anti-Semitic hate crimes against the Jewish community in Canada and around the world. What happened today is not a one-off. And I'm afraid that it's going to get worse. It's going to get worse because you are enabling this behavior. And that's because Western politicians and a lot of people who are not familiar with the Middle East do not understand how terrorists operate. You do not negotiate with terrorists. You do not enable terrorists. You deal with terrorists very strongly, very definitively, and you put them in your place because these people, they're not rational actors. These people do not want peace. These people do not care about peace. These people want war. These people want to destabilize the West. These people want to destroy Israel, and then they want to destroy your civilization and your society. Again, look at this Palestinian music video. This is their catchy boy band intifada song. Okay, so I mean, when they literally make music videos about how they're gonna blow up bombs and they're glorifying the intifada, and then the crazy part is that I think it was just last week that those weak lefty politicians, I think it was who was it? It was Keir Starmer. So you have Starmer, you had Mark Carney in Canada, and then you had the guy in Australia, whatever his garbage name is. They came out and we're going to recognize the Palestinian state, right? Okay, so let's take Mark Carney, for example, the globalist prime minister in Canada. So back in the summer, Mark Carney said that he will only recognize the Palestinian state if they meet certain conditions. And some of those conditions included, um, I'm just thinking off the top of my head here. I guess I could find it and put it up here, but I guess I should have prepared my slides from before, but I'm still kind of getting used to the live stream here. But back in the summer, Mark Carney basically put some conditions on recognizing a Palestinian state. So he said, in order to recognize a state, Hamas has to be demilitarized, the hostages have to be released, and blah blah blah, whatever other, fake conditions he put on. And the reason I say fake conditions is because just I think it was last week or a couple weeks ago, he just arbitrarily came out and recognized the Palestinian state. And none of those conditions had been met. And that angered a lot of people. It angered a lot of Canadians. Now, I don't know why he did that. Um, it was definitely some sort of coordinated effort between the UK, Canada, and Australia. It was something they announced, I believe it was on the Sunday right before they went to the United Nations, right? So they announced that, and then they go to the United Nations, and you see them all, happy, clapping, whatever. And I'll speak about that more another time. The videos are out there, but they go out there, they say all that. I mean, did they? I wonder if, did they recognize the Palestinian state? Oh yeah, and France as well. Yeah, Riza, France did it as well. Um, did they recognize the fake Palestinian state because they thought that this would somehow reduce the jihadi pro-Hamas demonstrations on the streets? Did they recognize the fake Palestinian state because they thought that this would um, satisfy or appease the Islamists who are yelling intifada? I mean, if they did, they're pretty ignorant. If they thought that recognizing the fake Palestinian state would actually solve anything, um, hey, I have a bridge to sell you then, right? I have a bridge to sell you. Um, this is actually a very, very good comment. Wait, I don't even know if this is a good comment. Wait, where is it? Yeah, let me show this one. So here. So the good thing about these barbarism, it's making more great countries come around to the same conclusion. Absolutely. You know what? That's so true. Um, I mean, a lot of us have been warning. We've been like I have been warning a lot about this, and I've been doing it for a very long time. And that's because, let me just put this back up here. And that's because what you're seeing happening in the West right now is very similar to what happened in Iran in the 1970s before the Islamic Revolution, right? So Iran used to be a normal country, very similar to the West. And one of the core foundational pillars, and I spoke about this in my live stream yesterday, one of the core foundational pillars of the Islamic Republic is the fake Palestinian cause. It's, this constant jihad against Israel. Um, and it's just it's all consuming for them even to this day, even right now, like this fake Palestinian cause is like a big part of the Islamic Republic. um and now we're seeing the same thing happening in the West. And what these Western politicians don't realize is that it's not enough. It's never going to be enough. You give these terrorists an inch, they're going to take a mile. So I truly believe that what happened today in the UK, this terrorist attack against Jews on Yom Kippur, which is the holiest celebration in Judaism. This is a direct result of enabling these Islamic terrorists because these people are not rational, normal actors. It's not like they're going to just stop doing what it is they're doing, right? I mean, I want to find, I think someone posted um, a video. Let me see if I can find it here, and then I'll put it up on the screen. So I think it was like just last night, right? I mean, where was it? Just last night. People were, oh my gosh, like here, let me just pull this up. Like it's these people have no shame. These people have literally no no shame. Look at this. Look at this. So these people are like this is an hour ago. This is an hour ago. The pro Pally crowd have literally. I mean, look at this. They zero shame, zero shame, right? I mean, you literally have Jewish people who have been murdered because some radical Islamic terrorists thought it was okay and felt enabled to go out and murder them in a synagogue. And you still have the pro-Pally people coming out here and protesting. And what's really sick is that these terrorists are also planning demonstrations on October 7th. Can you imagine? Like, how much of a vile, disgusting human being do you have to be in order to um, go out on October 7th and protest against Israel? These people have no humanity. I mean, these people to me are evil. They're evil. They're soulless. Um, and yeah, Riza, you make a really good point here. So I'm going to add this here. So Riza, uh, from the YouTube stream says, I think there are Marxists who just can't help themselves. They have to take the side of Islamists, no matter how barbaric they are. The same countries are still on the side of mullahs. Absolutely, absolutely, 100%. I mean, the UK, France, these countries were all on the side of the Islamic Republic back in the late 1970s. Um, and we're seeing the same thing today. But I mean, this is a big challenge here. We have a big problem in the West with Islamic terrorism, and we need to be able to call it out. And one thing that I'm seeing in reports, let me see if I can find this. So I've seen some reports where apparently Sky News is claiming um, that this attack was due to like mental health reasons or like some ridiculous thing like that. I mean, it's absolutely mind-boggling. It's mind-boggling. Um, Oh, here we go. Okay, so like it's also the language that they use is very like the language they're using is also trying to erase the horror here. So here, like you see, so BBC right now is claiming that the two people stabbed to death by Manchester synagogue terrorists weren't murdered or even killed. They just died, right? I mean, so they are trying to appease the Islamists. They are trying to appease the terrorists here. No, Jewish people didn't just wake up, go to the synagogue, and randomly die today. They were murdered by an Islamic terrorist. They were murdered by, that guy right there. But already the news is trying to limit the language. They're trying to hide the truth with this narrative. And um, I'll say something about BBC and these sort of like leftist mainstream media outlets. You cannot trust them. They have always been on the side of Islamists. These media outlets are the same ones who um, supported the Islamic Republic back in the late 70s and um, propagated lies about our king at the time, Shahanshah Aryamir, the Shah, Mohammad Reza Pahlavi. They made up so many lies about him. They made up so many lies about Sabak. And it was these exact same media outlets. And these are the same media outlets that have been, you're right, Reza, whitewashing Islamic terrorism for the last 47 years. They've been whitewashing the crimes of the Islamic regime against the Iranians. They've been whitewashing the crimes of Islamists. Um, the Islamic regime against the world. They have been whitewashing the crimes of Islamic terrorist groups against Israel, and they have been and now they are whitewashing the crimes of Islamic terror attacks in your own countries. You cannot allow this to happen. You have to fight back because when they control the language, they control the narrative. And if they control the narrative, you're done for. I think it is incredibly insulting that the BBC chose to use the word die because they didn't die. They were murdered. They were murdered by a terrorist attack. Not just a terrorist attack, an Islamic terrorist attack. I mean, look at the guy. The guy doesn't, I'm pretty sure his name isn't Steve. I'm pretty sure his name isn't, I don't know, Charles. We have to be blunt here. We have to be honest here, right? We need to you cannot solve a problem if you're not willing to call it out, right? I mean, it's like imagine someone has cancer and they go to the doctor. The doctor knows they have cancer, but they don't want to hurt the patient's feelings. So they don't want to say they have cancer, so they say, "Oh, like you have an illness. You have an illness." Well, what is it? Oh, it could be many things. It could be many things, but you're definitely sick. You're definitely sick, but it could be many things, right? How are you supposed to get a proper diagnosis? How are you supposed to solve the problem if you don't call it out for what it is? So let's wait to find out more about this guy. But like I said, I'm pretty sure his name isn't Stephen or Charles. So here's one example of the BBC whitewashing Islamic terrorism. And so apparently, so Visegrad is reposted 5 hours ago. We're seeing some awful reporting from British mainstream media on the Manchester synagogue terror attack. I'm not surprised. Again, like the left right now is, I believe, they're pretty much scrambling to try and figure out, how to. They're basically trying to figure out how do we tell the story without Islamophobia or being accused of Islamophobia, right? It's so frustrating, and I for one, um, I, for one, am sick of it. I'm sick of having to tiptoe around the reality of what we're dealing with. Why can we not call it out for what it is, especially those of us who have experienced Islamic terrorism, those of us who have escaped Islamic terrorism? We've escaped that radical jihadi Islamofascist ideology, and we have come to Judeo-Christian countries because we want to get away from that. We don't want to deal with that anymore, right? Like, we're sick of it. So, um, and now they're following us. It's like we can't even get a break. We can't get a break, right? Like, okay, you want to, like, live in your terrorist jihadi society? Fine. You have your own country. You have your terrorist jihadi society. Go there. You want to do whatever jihadi nonsense? Fine. It's your country. Do it. But that's not enough for them. Now they have to come to Western countries. Now they have to immigrate to Canada, or claim refugee or asylum or whatever. And then they come here and they bring their jihadi nonsense with them. Where are we supposed to go? Like, are we supposed to go to the moon? Are we supposed to go to Mars? I mean, I don't know. Where are we supposed to go to get away from these people? If someone has a solution, let me know, because at this point, I don't see one. I want to share some other things. So, like, again, here, this is ridiculous. The way that the media is trying to whitewash this crime is absolutely ridiculous. Let's play this clip here. So again, this is from the BBC. I'm shocked. Let me go back to the beginning.
Or any motive. But it's clear, as you said, that many communities have felt vulnerable.
Yeah, I mean, the Jewish community has felt vulnerable since before the October the 7th attacks 2 years ago. They did feel that there was a rising tension, and it was coming from two directions. It was coming from people who had a political mindset linked to what was going on in the Middle East, but also from the far right, which hasn't completely gone away in terms of the Jewish community.
Did you catch that? Did you catch that? Okay, I'm going to go back and I'm going to replay that. Listen to what the guy says. He doesn't say Islamism. He doesn't say Islamic terrorism. Listen to what he says.
Had a political mindset linked to what was going on in the Middle East from people from two directions 2 years ago. They did feel that there was a rising tension, and it was coming from two directions. It was coming from people who had a political mindset linked to what was going on in the Middle East, but also from the far right, which hasn't completely gone away.
Did you catch that? So they're basically saying there's, two camps here. So I mean, they have no problem talking about the far right, right? No problem talking about the far right here. Not an issue there. But when it comes to Islamic terrorism, they don't actually say Islamic terrorism, do they? They say instead people who have a political mindset linked to what's going on in the Middle East. What exactly does that mean? What exactly is this political mindset that is linked to what's going on in the Middle East? Is that political mindset, could it possibly be radical Islamic terrorism? Do you see how dangerous this narrative is? Because when they claim that jihadi ideology, when they claim that Islamofascism is a political mindset, they are legitimizing. They are actually legitimizing jihad because they are now labeling it as a political mind. I'm sorry, there is nothing political about yelling intifada and wanting to genocide the Jewish people and wanting Sharia law to control the world. There is nothing political. I mean, let me rephrase. Sure, for them it's political because there is this, political aspect and element to Islam, but it's not political in the sense of like a Western political construct, right? I mean, it is a jihadi ideology that has infiltrated now into Western politics, and it's trying to claim legitimacy. And for the BBC to come out and claim that people who have a political mindset linked to what's going on in the Middle East are part of the problem, why are they just coming out and saying Islamists? Why are they not just coming out and saying that this is radical Islam? I mean, who else? Who else could they possibly be referring to? Do you see how strong the influence is from the jihadi lobby groups? Do you see how far they've infiltrated society to the point where now news reporters are afraid to even say that this is Islamism? People who have a political mindset linked to what's going on in the Middle East. You know what this reminds me of? This reminds me of like the sort of the far left woke narrative where, they don't want to offend, I guess, men who think they're women. So I remember like this one Canadian politician, he wanted to refer to women, and instead of saying woman, he said people with uteruses. So he was referring to people with uteruses instead of saying the word woman. This is similar to that. This is how the left uses language to whitewash crimes, to uh, you know, to point the finger and the blame elsewhere. Um, and yeah, Sven, you're right. They're very quick to say far left, right? They're very quick to say far left, but they don't. Sorry, they're very quick to say far right, but they don't say far left, right? It's very easy to say far right, but they don't say far left, and we have to ask ourselves why. Because the violence that we are seeing, the vast majority of the violence is coming from the extreme left, and it's coming from the Islamists. And you are now experiencing a very Orwellian way of trying to control the narrative. Because again, instead of saying an Islamic terrorist or Islamism or jihad, you now have BBC. So anyone who thinks that it's okay to murder Jews and genocide Jews, it's now considered a political mindset linked to what's going on in the Middle East. Ask yourself why they're not just saying Islamist. I want to go to some other things as well. So I don't know if anyone has received confirmation on this, let me know, because I'm kind of catching up on the news right now with all of you at the same time because I'm live streaming this. But apparently the Islamic terrorist, because I'm going to call him an Islamic terrorist because that's what he is. I'm not going to beat around the bush. The Islamic terrorist actually had a bomb strapped to him as well, and my understanding is that there was a controlled detonation. So not only did this Islamic terrorist murder innocent people and stab innocent people, he had most likely some sort of improvised explosive device strapped to him, and he was planning on going into that synagogue and blowing it up. Where have we seen that before? Intifada. When people yell globalize the Intifada, this is what they mean. When you have these Arab, Muslim, Pakistani, whatever terrorists, in your streets, and they're yelling globalize the Intifada, glory to the martyrs, this is what Intifada means. Intifada literally means strapping bombs to yourself, going out there and blowing up as many Jewish people as possible. And unfortunately, you have the ignorant woke watermelon people who are going along with it because they think it's fun. They think it's fun. They are being gaslit. They're being gaslit, right? I mean, when these people talk about jihad, they lie to your face. Um, they lie to your face when they tell you that jihad means internal struggle. No, no, no. Jihad does not mean internal struggle. Jihad means a war. It means a religious war on behalf of Allah, um, against, what is it? Uh, against against the Jews and against, anyone who isn't Muslim. So, like it's and jihad is in the Quran as well. Like there's literally a whole section about the, jihad against the Jewish people. So it's like, I mean, you don't have to take my word for it. Go look it up. There's actually, you know what? Why don't I pull it up actually? So I'll try like switching um my stream here. I guess I could practice live streaming a little bit, and like practice my live stream skills. So let me, here, I'll pull this up. Here we go. So let me, oh, okay, there we go. Perfect. So there's this like surah in the Quran, right? Like this is all part of Islam here. So here you go. So it's like fighting for the cause of Allah. So jihad, so like when these people are yelling in the streets, jihad, jihad, and then they say, oh, jihad means internal struggle. No, no, no. Jihad literally means fighting for the cause of Allah. Okay. So what did he say? He says, Allah's messenger said, the hour will not be established until you fight with the Jews, and the stone behind which a Jew will be hiding will say, oh, Muslim, there's a Jew hiding behind me, so kill him. So this refers to like the end of times, where basically they believe that in order for their imam to come or whatever, they need to kill all the Jews. So I have this explanation from Grok on my phone here. I'm just going to read it. So there you go. Yeah, super, super high tech here, but I don't know how to get this on my screen right now. So I'm just going to read this for you, but at some point you guys can pause and see for yourself what I'm reading. But so Grok's explanation is, this hadith appears in the chapter on fighting for the cause of Allah, specifically under the subsection on fighting against the Jews. It describes an eschatological event, sign of the Day of Judgment, where inanimate objects will aid Muslims against hidden Jews. The narration is classified as authentic by Imam al-Bukhari. So, I mean, there's jihad, right? They're literally telling you what jihad is, and you have ignorant Westerners who are not only tolerating this behavior, who are not only allowing this behavior in their streets, but they're joining the cause. They're joining the cause, and then this is the end result. This guy right here, and you know why? You know why he was okay to do this? And I'm pretty sure he knew he was probably going to die. But this goes back to the whole concept of martyrdom, right? This whole like martyrdom where they die for their cause. And so for him, he has been raised in such a radical Islamic jihadi mindset that he actually thinks it's a good thing for him to die while murdering Jewish people, right? So because in his religious belief, in his head, he actually thinks he's going to heaven because his religion teaches him that the best way to guarantee a spot in heaven is to murder Jews. And this is what your Western politicians are enabling. This is what your Western politicians are allowing to fester within your societies, like a fungus, like a mold, right? Like it's this like parasitic entity that is kind of like underground, and you don't really see it. And it's been festering for a very long time. And I would say that October 7, 2 years ago, was really when the mask slipped off. October 7 is really when we all saw how bad it was. I mean, many of us sort of knew that the situation was bad. Many of us knew that there was a lot of this sort of radical jihadi ideology um, sort of in the background, but we all kind of ignored it, even, myself included. And the reason I kind of ignored it and I, looked the other way is because I've always wanted to give people the benefit of the doubt. I always looked at the best in everyone, and I my family immigrated to Canada with good intentions, right? We came here to build a better life. We came here to become, and assimilated into Canadian society, and embrace Judeo-Christian culture and values. There was never the sense of, oh, this is like discriminatory. Oh, Christmas. There was none of that. I mean, we're not Christian, but we celebrate Christmas because it's fun. It's like a fun thing to do. And sure, I mean, like, um, we're not Christian, but we still participate in like a secular way, right? It's just a nice thing to do. We even have a Christmas tree, we give presents, all of that stuff. Because it's nice, it's fun, and it's a part of um, Canadian culture, right? Christmas is a part of Canadian culture, and it's a beautiful time as well. One of my favorite holidays. But now you have these people who come here, and not only do they don't want to be involved in it. I mean, if you don't want to be involved, that's fine. But they go so far as to say, this is offensive to me and I don't want it in my face. And I'm thinking, okay, so if Christian values or the Christian religion is offensive to you, why did you leave a Muslim country and immigrate to a Christian country? Why? Right? Like, if you do not like the way that country is run, if you don't agree with the country's policies, if you don't agree with the country's values, if you don't agree with the way the country identifies, why are you there? Why do you not just stay home? The reason they are there is because it is jihad. It is a cultural jihad, right? A lot of people are immigrating to Western countries, not with good intentions, but with very nefarious intentions. And we are seeing more and more and more of that. Um, this terrorist who murdered Jews, why was he so radicalized to the point where um, where he thought this was okay? And if you think this is a one-off, you are sorely, sorely mistaken, because this is not a one-off situation. This is a feature, not a bug, of radical Islamism. This is a feature, not a bug, of being quiet. This is a feature, not a bug, of normalizing and tolerating this sort of behavior. Because when you tolerate this behavior, you are giving them the green light to act out even more violently. You are giving them the green light that it is okay to behave this way. If anyone has any news or updates, put it in the comments below. I'll take a look as well. But I just really wanted to focus on this for a little bit, because it's not just a horrible, horrible situation, but what's really frustrating about this is that you're seeing this whitewashing in the media now. You're seeing this whitewashing where they're trying to downplay. And again, I'll put the tweet here again, right here, right? They're trying to downplay. So this is, let me actually, let me bookmark this, and I want to bookmark the other one so that we have them side by side here. See, this is the one, and I'm going to retweet this as well so that I have this on, all my bookmarks here. All my bookmarks. Do you know how this works? Here, I get to see all my bookmarks here. Oh, my life hacks bookmark are funny. We're not going to get into that right now. Maybe I'll show you my bookmarks one time. when wait, how do I go back to where I was before? Okay, we'll just leave this here for now. Here. This should scare all of you. And I'm going to leave this up because this is so, where is this? This is like incredibly scary. I'm just going to leave this like that. People who have a political mindset linked to what's going on in the Middle East. This is what should terrify each and every one of you. And you need to ask yourself, why is it easy for people to talk about the far right? But it's not easy for them to call out Islamic terrorism for what it is. You are being lied to. The information is being suppressed. I even saw somewhere that apparently they are now trying to claim that this was a mental health issue, that the Islamic terrorist murdered Jewish people on Yom Kippur because of mental health issues. I mean, if let's put it this way. If you are a radical Islamist, you definitely have mental health issues, but it does not mitigate your sins. It does not mitigate your crimes. It does not justify it either. If anything, it just shows how dangerous you are. So, for those people who are in the media and who are claiming that perhaps this was, a mental health issue, shame on you. Again, like why is there this like two-tier policing or this two-tier language, right? It's almost like there's one set of language for Islamists, and then there's another set of language for everyone else. And we are not allowed to go after Islamists. And why is that? Why is that? And cue like all the other thing is like, have you ever noticed whenever there's like a terrorist attack against Jewish people, politicians come out and they're always like, there's no place for anti-Semitism and Islamophobia. And I'm like, okay, but where's the Islamophobia here? Where's the Islamophobia? Where are the Muslims who are going out and saying that maybe it's not okay to go in the streets and wave terrorist flags and yell globalizing intifada? Where are those people? Why is it the rest of us? Why is it those of us who have been victims of Islamic terrorism who are the ones who have to speak out about it? And then why is it those of us who are the victims of Islamic terrorism who are being demonized by our oppressors, by our colonizers? Why is it that when we want to speak out about our experiences with Islamic terrorism, we are labeled as Islamophobic and they try to silence us? Why is that? Why is that? And it's not just us Iranians, because we Iranians as a society, we have been dealing with Islamic terrorism for 47 years. We Iranians we've been dealing with Islamic terrorism for 47 years, and I'm more than happy to speak about that at another time. But right now, we're focusing on this horrific terrorist attack against the Jewish community, because it's not just Iranians who have faced, who have experienced Islamic terrorism. Jewish people, unfortunately, have experienced Islamic terrorism since Islam was invented 1400 years ago. Right? I mean, and not just Jewish people, many of us, right? Islamic terrorism has been around since Islam was invented. How do you think Islam spread in the Middle East? Do you think that the Islamists would come and knock on your door and say, "Excuse me, here's a brochure, here's a pamphlet about Islam, here's a box of chocolates and some flowers, take a look, read through the pamphlet, and Muhammad will come back in a few days, and let us know your thoughts." Do you think that's how Islam was spread? Give me a break. Islam was spread through fear, through murder, through violence, through rape, through conquest. What you're seeing today is not a bug. It is a feature of Islamic conquest. What you're seeing today is that radical jihadi 7th century ideology. Even today, these Islamists have so much control and power in Western society. They portray themselves as the victims, that when you have actual victims of Islamic genocide who want to speak out, they're silenced. And one example comes to mind. It's this Yazidi woman. I believe it was last year, and she had a tour scheduled, and she was supposed to go to different university campuses and speak about her experience as a Yazidi woman who had been kidnapped by ISIS terrorists, and she had been sold as a sex slave, and was being, passed around and used by Muslim men. And this was allowed. It's still happening to this day, because in Islam they have these laws, and if you're not a Muslim woman, then you're allowed to be captured and used as a sex slave, and this is happening today. So there's a very dark, very large, very shameful underground Islamic sex trade happening, sex slave trade happening with non-Islamic women. But this Yazidi woman was supposed to speak about that, and they had all these campus tours set up for her to speak about her experience being violated and being raped and being used as a sex slave. And Islamic groups in Canada managed to cancel it because they claimed that if she did this tour, that would lead or cause Islamophobia. This is how they've been silencing us. So it's they do it to Iranians, they do it to the Yazidis, of course they do it to the Jewish people. They do it to any group or any minority in the Middle East who wants to speak out. And there are many groups and many minorities in the Middle East. Now, unfortunately, most of them are very small. And, again, that's because of the Islamic colonization that's been happening. They try to do it to Persians, Iranians as well. They did manage to conquer Persia and, bring Islam, but they never managed to erase our Iranian identity and heritage and language. There's a reason that the vast majority of people in the Middle East speak Arabic. And that's because when the Islamists would conquer a society or a tribe or whatever, they made it illegal for that group to speak their language. In Iran, they banned Farsi for 2 centuries. Anyone who spoke Farsi was either executed or had their tongue cut out. The only reason that we were able to preserve our language is because we had books written. And then one of our authors, who's like the Iranian equivalent of Shakespeare, his name is Ferdowsi, he wrote an epic book called the Shahnameh. I'll speak about that in another stream, but just very briefly. So we were able to preserve our language and our words through literature, but many other societies were not able to do so. I mean, look at the Egyptians, for example. The Egyptians, they're not Arabic, but they speak Arabic. They lost their language. Many other various groups as well. There are pockets here and there in the Middle East. of small indigenous groups who were not able who were able to preserve their language, but it's very, very minor. But we as a society need to wake up. We as a society need to wake up, and if we don't call out anti-Semitism, if we don't call out Islamic radicalism, because these are two sides of the same coin here, right? You have anti-Semitism on one side, and you have Islamofascism on the other, and they fuel one another. And if we don't call it out, that is one of the signs of a crumbling society. And the fact that the BBC here, the fact that they are too, I don't know if they're trying to be politically correct. Are you being politically correct? Are you just, trying to appease the Islamists? I don't know. I don't trust the BBC. We Iranians, we call the BBC Ayatollah BBC. Ayatollah, referring to the Ayatollah of the Islamic Republic, because the BBC has always been a mouthpiece for Islamists. And again, they're being a mouthpiece here. Why can't they just come out and call it what it is? Now, my understanding is that last I heard, I haven't checked the news updates, but the last I heard is that law enforcement agencies in the UK have confirmed that this was a terrorist attack. Okay, so they've confirmed it was a terrorist attack, and so we know it was terrorism. So now it's just a matter of what kind of terrorism. People who have a political mindset linked to what's going on in the Middle East. I think I'm going to end the podcast here. I want to thank everyone for joining. I just wanted to come and speak a little bit about the rise of radical Islamism. I wanted to give my condolences to the Jewish community in Manchester, and of course in Canada and around the world. This is a horrifying thing that happened, this terrorist attack. And I think that we as a society need to do better. We need to stop enabling leftist politicians. And I'll probably do another podcast maybe later today. I'll do another live stream later today. I want to gather some tweets and some posts, and I want to go through them, because you're now seeing all these lefty politicians who were out there supporting Islamists and, recognizing the state of Palestine, right? Now they're coming out and they're saying, oh, we're so sad about this, and, thoughts and prayers, really, like, enough with the thoughts and prayers. Stop being afraid to call out Islamic terrorism for what it is, because the invasion is already happening. It's already here. And they have become so powerful that anyone who speaks out, including those of us who are from the Middle East, who have experienced Islamic terrorism, right? When we speak out, we're accused of Islamophobia. So imagine like how bold these terrorists have become, where they will literally flaunt their jihadi Islamofascist ideology in your face. Okay, they are telling you to your face, we are Islamic terrorists, this is our ideology, and if you don't like it, you're the problem. That's what they're saying to you. That's what they're saying to you. I mean, look what happened in Canada. In Canada, Mark Carney, the Prime Minister of Canada, he goes to this event called the Muslim Association organized by the Muslim Association of Canada, which, by the way, is connected to the Muslim Brotherhood, and I'll get into that in another another podcast. But he goes to this like this event organized by this Muslim group that has known ties to a terrorist group called the Muslim Brotherhood, so Islamic terrorists, basically. He goes there and then he says Muslim values are Canadian values. Really? He's never said that about any other religion. He's never said Christian values are Canadian values. He's never said Jewish values are Canadian values. He's never said Hindu values are Canadian values, or whatever, Zoroastrian, like Buddhist, whatever, atheist values. Why does he feel the need to go to a Muslim event organized by a Muslim group that has links to Muslim terrorists, and he says that Muslim values are Canadian values? What about those of us who escaped Muslim countries and came to a Judeo-Christian country like Canada because we don't want to be a part of Muslim values? What about us? Now, here's the thing. When people spoke out and they were like, no, like that's not an appropriate thing for the Prime Minister to say. The Prime Minister is supposed to represent all Canadians, regardless of what religion you are. And many Canadians do not align with Muslim values, and that's okay. Like, you don't have to. Like, I mean, there are certain Muslim values that I think are barbaric and I think belong in the 7th century and don't belong here. One Muslim value that I don't agree with is that you can have non-Islamic women as sex slaves. I mean, just ask the Yazidis, right? Another Muslim value that I don't believe in is, I don't think you should stone women to death just for having sex before marriage. Right? Another Muslim value that I don't believe in is eating pork. I think it's okay to eat pork. I love bacon. So there are values that I do not align with, and I don't think it's appropriate for the Prime Minister of a country, especially a Judeo-Christian country, to go out and say Muslim values are Canadian values. I do not see Muslim leaders going out in their countries, going to, like, theoretically, for example, I don't see the King of Saudi Arabia going to some Christian events and saying that Christian values are Saudi values. Christianity isn't even allowed. Like, there's not even a single church in Saudi Arabia. Do I complain? No. Saudi Arabia is a Muslim country. If you want to live in a country, go to Saudi Arabia, right? You want Muslim values, go to one of the, I don't know, over 50 Muslim countries, and you can live there. But here's the messed up part. When the Prime Minister of Canada said Muslim values are Canadian values, and then a lot of people said, no, we do not align with all of these values. We don't align with Muslim values. Then you had those Muslim groups come out and say, oh, you're being Islamophobic. If you don't agree that Muslim values are Canadian values, you are Islamophobic. Do you see how they're playing with you? Do you see how they're literally setting up the stage? Like, it's all planned out. It's like a step by step by step by step. And what's even more messed up, is that one of the people who accused others of Islamophobia is the special envoy on Islamophobia. She's like this short jihadi woman who actually has ties to the Muslim Brotherhood herself. She came out. So we are literally paying jihadi terrorists with Canadian taxpayer dollars. We are paying them to accuse us of Islamophobia if we say that we don't want Muslim values in Canada. Do you see this? Like, we are literally paying people to accuse us of Islamophobia. And then when a situation like this happens, when you have an Islamic terrorist attack, the media can't even come out and call it what it is. The media can't even say that this was an Islamic attack. They can't even, they don't even say the word Islam or Muslim. They say people who have a political mindset linked to what's going on in the Middle East. Which people? Which people? Which people are you referring to that have a political mindset? You are being gaslit. You are being manipulated. This is what is called civilizational jihad. Plain and simple, civilizational jihad. where you have invaders coming into your country. They are slowly taking over institutions. They are changing the language. They are changing the narrative. They come in and they pretend to be victims. They pretend to be oppressed. And then they use that oppression to gain power. They manipulate and they take advantage of the freedoms that are given to us in Canada to promote their jihadi ideology. And if you want to call out their manipulation, if you want to call out their radical behavior, they accuse you of Islamophobia. I have a lot more to say on this, but for now, guys, I want to thank all of you for joining. If you can, go to my YouTube channel. I should probably put this there. Go to my YouTube channel, like and subscribe. I'm trying to grow my YouTube channel, so that's probably the best place to watch this. Yeah, I'll probably do another live stream later today when we have more information on this. But for those of you watching, just keep an eye out on the media, keep an eye out on the news, and look at the language that they're using. Pay attention to the language that the mainstream media is using to describe this. They've already said, you know, mental health, mental health. They're saying people with a certain political mindset. They're probably going to call him, you know, British man from Manchester, or I don't know, whatever. But I'm pretty sure his name isn't Charles or Stephen or, you know, some other generic British name. I might have a guess as to what his name might be. Keep an eye out on all of this. And also keep an eye out on what the Islamists are now saying, because they've already started to blame Israel for this, which is what they do. It's a sick mindset. It's a sick ideology. I don't think this ideology, this Islamofascist jihadi ideology, has any place in Western civilization. This isn't multiculturalism and diversity. This is jihad. And we need to call it out for what it is. So until next time, guys, thanks for joining. And I will probably see you later tonight when I have some more information on this. Don't forget to like and subscribe and share on YouTube. Thanks, everyone. Bye.